Well, hello everyone, it's Kari from sunshineinmypocket.com. Thanks so much for stopping by. Today I have a fun card combining a few products to create a little bit of a nighttime Halloween scene. And I just thought these would be fun to use together. So I've got here the Nighttime Sky Stencil. This stencil is awesome because you can build two different sizes of moons. And then you could also have a mask for each of those sizes. And this piece right here has an area for stars, and there's also edges for clouds. So you can do a lot with this stencil and these masks. And today I'm going to use most all of them. I'm also going to combine it with the A2 Castle Scene die. This is a favorite die of mine. It's got a castle scene, it's got some water and rocks, and also there's a lot of pieces to this. But today I'm just going to use the castle and the outside frame. So you can see I've cut this out of black cardstock. I've got the frame here and the castle, and then you can see the water piece up there on the left. But I'm not going to use that piece today. We're going to use it for something different. So this is how I'm going to build the scene. I've decided to put the moon right behind where the tallest point is in the castle. So I'm just kind of measuring where that would be, and I'm going to hold this stencil down with my magnets, and I'm going to come in with a little bit of Lost Shadow Distress Oxide. This is a nice light gray, and that's going to build the base for our moon. And then I'm going to bring in a darker gray here and just ink over that second layer. So look at that. That is the beginning of our moon. It looks already a little bit spooky. Look at that with the castle in front of it. But now I'm going to use the mask and mask it off to be able to add a yellowish glow around that moon. I'm using a little bit of repositionable adhesive for this just to hold that down, but I'm also going to hold it with my fingers just because I didn't want it to slip. And I'm coming in with a little antique linen, which is a really light yellow color, and that's going to start the beginning of our moon glow. To finish creating this nighttime sky, I'm going to bring in some blue and darker black colors of ink. So I've got a Distress Oxide in Prize Ribbon, and I'm going to start inking around the edges. I'm being careful to slowly come up and meet that yellow moon glow and not go over it too much, because when you have blue with yellow, then it will start creating green. So I'm trying not to create too much of green around the moon. So I'm slowly just bringing in this Prize Ribbon. Once I finish with that, I will bring in some black soot and go around the edges to create an even darker nighttime sky. So let me get my black soot here. I'll bring that in and start inking those edges. Now this is very simple. It does take a little bit of patience because I like to go back and forth between the colors to get a really nice blend, make it look creamy and just seamless. And Distress Oxides really blend so nicely. You don't have to have a lot of experience or too much patience to make it work. But I am just kind of going easy with this and not putting too much ink down. So I'll finish this off, and I am going to bring in some more black soot later for the bottom, but I wanted to show you that moon. Look at that. And the castle in front is going to look just dreamy. I did forget to take some of the windows out, so I'm using my little tool here to kind of get the rest of those out. And you can see I could use the water. I could use that little piece of ground in the front, but I decided to just come in with some darker black soot Distress Oxide for the ground, just to give it more of that moody, foggy look. So there we go. That's pretty much how that background is going to look. And now let's start bringing in a few more elements for the card. So I'll take the frame and put in that castle, and now I'm going to start adding a little bit of some of these characters from Boo Crew stamp set. And also, I'm looking at the Halloween sentiment stamp set. Before we bring in those characters, I decided to take this round piece and cut kind of a little curvy sidewalk. So it looks like the castle is up on the hill, and that will really set our scene. So I'm just kind of putting these in place, not gluing them down yet, but I've already colored and cut out a few of these characters from the Boo Crew stamp set. I've got the little raccoon that's dressed as a ghost. I've got the jack-o'-lantern, the little spider that has some flashlights, and the little snail pumpkin. He's so cute. And I'm gonna put those around and add some candy, kind of so it looks like they're throwing the candy out of the castle down to the trick-or-treaters. At least that's the story I'm telling for this card. And I just love that look. But I wanted to add a little more of the yellow glow to the castle so it looks like the moon is glowing on that dark black castle. A little more of the antique linen distress oxide will do the trick. And then it just looks dreamy up to the castle there. I'm not sure how much of this you can see in the video, but it really does add a little something. So now I'm going to take that extra piece of black and I'm going to stamp with that same antique linen on the black, and this sentiment is going to say Haunted Hellos. That's also from the Boo Crew stamp set. I could have used any sentiment from the Halloween sentiments. It's one of my favorite Halloween sentiment stamp sets ever from Missing Stamps, but this one is from Boo Crew, and I stamped it with antique linen, and now I'm using some clear embossing powder. Excuse my well-used scratch paper there. I'm going to use that to seal that ink in, so I will use my heat tool here to heat and melt that clear embossing powder, and then it's going to kind of look a little like it glows in the dark, like a glow-in-the-dark sentiment. It looks really cool. So let's put this all together. I'm going to glue down that frame first of all and add that to the background with a little bit of liquid adhesive. Clean up the extra there. Then I'll add that castle. And this is going to be our Halloween magical castle. Just adding a little more liquid adhesive right there, just like that. Then we can add the walkway, and I decided the walkway looked better going behind the frame. So while everything was still wet, I picked that frame back up and added that behind the frame, and now I can cut off the excess there, just like that. So we've got our little walkway, and now we'll add our characters. These I'm going to pop up with some foam tape, just to give it the dimensional look. And these will look like they're more in the forefront and the castle in the background. And then we can glue on the candy. Looks like it's coming right out of those windows there. I'll just use my jewel picker here and a little liquid adhesive to add all of those quickly to that card base or the castle. And now we can add the whole thing to our card base. So I've got a top folding card base already prepared here, and I'm just going to glue that down with liquid adhesive, put that all together, and then we'll add that sentiment with a little foam tape as well. So there's a closer look at our Halloween spooky night card. It looks a little foggy, a little dreamy. I hope you enjoyed this video today. I enjoyed putting it together with you. If you did like it, give this video a thumbs up. It really helps us out with the channel. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss a thing. I'll be back really soon with more cards to share, more inspiration, and more fun. I hope you'll join us then. Until then, happy crafting. Bye-bye.